Hey guys, Charles from Halts Boots here, and today we're going over my on-foot review of the new Nike Phantom Luna.
Alright guys, so I actually found a good grass field near me, and some of the areas are basically like carpet. I haven't seen a field like this in forever, so I figured it'd be a good place to do a on-foot review of the Phantom Luna. And just because of the way that like 360, I don't remember, what is it, 360, oh, Nike Cyclone 360 Soleplate, it just made me a little nervous to try on turf, so I figured I'd give it a shot on grass first. And I've just done a little bit of kicking about and warming up, and so far it feels pretty great. And I am on a pretty nice grass pitch, but I think the Soleplate's actually be a lot nicer than I thought it was, so that's at least good to know. And just kind of, I don't know if I'm gonna continue the video out here, if I'm gonna do it back at the, Halts Boots HQ or not. But all the B-roll, I think I'm gonna use all the B-roll from out here just because it's so nice out, and it's a nice day, it's a nice field. And honestly, so far, I think these are pretty nice boots. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right guys, so I'm back inside now. I'm no longer outside, and we're just gonna kind of go through my overall thoughts and opinions on these boots. I wore them a decent amount of time. It's been a week since I actually filmed that first portion and the initial like B-roll, I guess, if you wanna call it that. And now I'm just gonna start like I usually do. I'm gonna go with the Soleplate, just kind of work my way up through the upper, the lockdown, the fit, all those cool things, and we're gonna get started on this review. So first we're gonna start off with the Soleplate. This Soleplate caused a lot of controversy with this Nike Cyclone 360 plate, and I'll show you guys here. It's just circular studs, like bladed studs in a circular motion, and I was very skeptical. I was very nervous to use them. I only used them on turf once, mostly because I've been taking advantage of this really nice grass field I found, and I just really want to test these boots out there. However, this Soleplate actually did very well, and if you tuned in for the first part of the review when I did the unboxing, I said that the cross section here on the arch looks like the GX Soleplate, and then the heel looks like the Tiempo 9, and I want to say, yeah, Tiempo 10 Soleplate, I have one right there. And then you have this like Nike Cyclone 360 piece up top here. I really actually enjoyed it. I know in previous videos I've said I don't like the word responsive very much because I think that it's very hard to kind of gauge responsiveness on boots, but this is the first pair where I've really felt responsiveness is a thing. I was able to cut really, really hard. I was able to do a lot of like, dynamic plyometric movements, stuff like that. And the Soleplate performed well. Now, I can say that I wasn't doing any super hard training. It was mostly by myself or like partner sessions where I would just go out because I wanted to test these boots out. So I can't really say for certain if I would wear them in a game yet. I will say that I did like a lot of the features of the boot overall, and I'll get into the rest of that. But for the most part, I would say the Soleplate actually did its job well. Now again, would I use it on turf? I just am not really sure. I still am really nervous. The one session I used it on turf, I was just helping out coaching some younger kids, so I wasn't really doing a whole lot of movements anyways. However, they did feel decent on turf, and I believe the Women's World Cup is gonna be on turf potentially. I know in 2015 it was on turf. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I think we're gonna be able to see this boot perform on turf from other athletes, and I've seen people in them already on turf, so I really think we'll be okay in that aspect. And again, I've spent so much time on the Soleplate already, but it's just something I really wanted to talk about. And overall, I would say it's a decent Soleplate. If you're wearing it on grass, you're gonna be totally fine. If you're wearing it on turf, you're probably gonna be fine, but I didn't get to test it enough there, and I wanted to get this video done and out. So I've worn them about 5, 6, 7 times now, probably put 8 to 10 hours in on them, and that's kind of what I have to say about the Soleplate in this aspect. Now we're gonna move on to the upper. So talking about the upper, it's one of the things that I was interested in testing out the new grip knit, because I say new grip knit because it's just different than the Phantom GX's grip knit. Now, the grip knit on the Phantom GX looks like it's coated over top of the fly knit, whereas here, and I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see, but it just looks super sleek. And I'll try to throw some better footage up for you guys, but I still felt that the grip knit was kind of there. And I mean, the Phantom Lunas even have these like ridges here that really looks like the Predator Edge, except it's not rubber and not as aggressive. And again, the Predator Edge has its own issues, but I really did think that the grip knit did something. I don't think it was nearly to the effect that was on the GX. And the rest of the upper was okay. It definitely seems like a harder plastic upper. I don't want to say it's anything like the original Speed Portal, but it just felt a little hard to break in, I guess, is the best way to say it. I don't really think I've truly broken these boots yet in either, and I'll get into that kind of fit later, but you know, I've already put, I think I said like 8 or 10 hours on these boots, so it did okay, and the upper itself was just okay. I can't see. I mean, I did hit some free kicks, and I'll throw some of them up here. I was really just trying to test the limits and see how well the grip knit actually performed, and whether or not it's me or the grip knit, I don't know, but some of the free kicks turned out pretty well in my opinion, so that was kind of fun to do and mess around. I do try to do that a bit more whenever I'm testing boots with either like a grip knit tech, if you want to call it that, or any sort of rubber elements. I really like to try and see how well that rubber element actually enhances performance, if it enhances performance, or if it helps at all. So now we're moving on to lockdown. So the lockdown on this boot was actually pretty crazy. It has the ASYM or ASYM fit, I believe it's what it's called, and it's this kind of collared system, and I think one of the reasons why people say that this boot looks like the Magista Obra 3. It has a very similar collar, except it's not as puffed out as the Magista Obra 2 was. And again, I made the argument that this isn't like the Magista Obra 2 or the Magista Obra 3 because it's not as different, I guess. And again, that was just my opinion, but you know, I did like this lockdown on this boot a lot. I don't know if it was the ASYM fit itself, but another thing I really loved about the boot is the way that it's cut. So if you see here, it really dips down, and I'm kind of just looking in the window on the camera here. It dips down, and one, I really like how that looks on feet. I'm someone who, when I look down, I'm just very, very particular on how my boots looked, and I really like that it was just kind of cut like that. I think this is my favorite high cut or mid cut boot in terms of just the cut of that extra sock and knit material. I really enjoyed that. The lockdown was insane. I, at one point, was trying to film some stuff out there for this video, and the issue I had was I couldn't get the boots off. So I was trying to like describe something, try to take the boot off, and I just sat on the ground for 30 seconds trying to take the boot off. And they're not easy to get on either. Again, I always wear grip socks, so I was wearing, this time I was wearing true socks with them. So maybe that attributed to my feet being so locked in there, but I really did appreciate the lockdown on this boot. I don't think you're gonna have an issue whatsoever if you're someone who's worried about your feet sliding. That's just not something that happened with me. Now we're gonna talk about comfort and fit. So this boot was fairly comfortable, I guess. My biggest issue, and it's not the best boot for wide feet, it definitely hurt a little bit the first couple times I wore them, but most of the pain's actually coming from up here in the like toe area where my pinky toe is. So your toes, oops, drop that. Your toes actually sit almost, I don't know if you can see that, but my fingers kind of like rolling up on each other. That's almost how they sit and get pushed up into the boot. This is probably the narrowest toe box, but not even like toe box, like the top of the toe box here is where the issue was for me. And again, I don't know if it's because they based it on women's sizing, so I did have to get a 10.5 in women's, which is a 9 in men's. So did that mean that women's feet are just more shaped like that, or maybe I needed a different size? It could be. I mean, size varies per boot anyways. And that was the biggest issue I had, but it is a good fit for my size 9 that I usually get with Nike boots. So if you're trying to test these out and you don't have super wide feet like me, if you wear an 8, get an 8. If you wear a 12, get a 12. And again, I really did like it. It was comfortable in like the heel area, has some decent padding as well. It reminds me of the Superfly 4 and maybe the Magista Obra 1, I wanna say, with the heel padding and heel construction it has. That part was comfortable. Just up here in the toe wasn't very comfortable. But again, I really did like this boot. It was pretty sleek, and there's not a whole lot I think I would really change about this boot other than maybe widening this top toe box up here. At least so far in my experiences, I think it's a boot that I'm gonna continue to wear and kind of experience when I get the chance in between testing other boots, because I do think that this boot has potential. And if they're keeping this boot around for a while, which at least it seems it's going through the Women's World Cup, maybe we'll get a Luna 2. And I'm, you know, really talking forward in the future here, like another year or 2 years in the future, but it would be interesting to see if this boot came with just a wider toe box and if they're gonna base a men's model off that, because that would be cool too. Now it's time to talk about the rating. So my overall rating for this boot is an 8.3 out of 10, and it is a fairly high rating and has fairly high praise for me. The only real issue being the pain up here in the toe, and then, you know, just the usual pain I get with having wide feet. Now, again, it's just something I have to deal with. I really did like the grip knit. I love the way this boot looks on my feet. I really like this just white color. I like the orange accents as well. You know, not a huge fan of this. I thought I was gonna like it a bit more than I did, but it's not really vibing with me. I think they might just continue this because they might just continue, not discontinue, this just because it kind of sticks out. It's abnormal, and I think it's just kind of what they're trying to do with women's boots, or this women's boot at least. And I guess I don't mind it at the end of the day. It's just kind of, you know, just a bit of a hit or miss depending on who you are. You know, I did like the reactiveness and the responsiveness of this Soleplate, especially up top here in the toe. The grip knit, I think, did make a difference. It was nice to use, a nice little waxy feeling. It, you know, it was, like I said, fairly comfortable boot. So overall, it's not bad. You know, again, it cost $275. Now, would I wear this over the Superfly 9? 1000%. I hate the Superfly 9. I think it's an awful boot. I've yet to try the Vapor 15, but I think it's gonna be the same thing. And, you know, I think this is a lot better than that. You know, based off of Nike speed boots, I don't think this is quite a speed boot, but it feels pretty lightweight. It feels good on your feet. Overall, I think it's a fairly good boot. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts down below about these boots. Do you think they're overrated? Do you think that the critics are right to kind of just bash them like I've seen on, you know, Instagram and a couple other sites? Or what would you do? Would you purchase these? $275 is a lot these days. I guess everybody's paying that. Well, not everybody, but those who pay for the Superfly 9 Elites, you know, it's the same exact price. So maybe switch it up. I think it's a better boot, but again, yeah, I'll stop talking and I'll let you guys go. So thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you could leave a like and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next review.